Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Kathy, say hello.
Hi.
And next year. But you know, I shouldn't say that. It's just an upgrade, so I had a chance. I got it over to Gigi, police officer in Fredericton, so I got it. So, and then sold mine. So.
This would be the peace sign.
Love is all around. Melody of love, and all you need is love, and love will keep us together. The number 7 song in 1955 was Love is a Many Splendid Thing. Appropriate. In April, it was on the charts. But then again, coming in at number 27 that week was also The Naughty Lady of Shady Lane. So I don't think we'll talk about music songs anymore. Well, it seemed like such an inauspicious start for these two young people in love. One was a big strapping lad from the farm, and the other was a tiny gal from the city. A whole foot separating them in height. He, the shy, reserved guy, and she, the feisty little spitfire. And standing in front of the church on that April 9th, 1955, she looked up to him and said, "I do." And he said his vows, and he looked down and he said, "I do whatever she tells me." Now, we were all together for their 50th wedding anniversary, and Mom was saying her greatest accomplishment in the 50 years was thinking of something to make for supper every night. Dinner was easy, meat and potatoes, but supper was easy. Well, Mom, you've done that for 3,131 weeks. But I thought that sounded a little better than the 21,917 suppers. You could take a few that you had to think of. And speaking of numbers, these two lovebirds created 5 remarkable children. I was going to say 4 children and 1 remarkable one. But to continue, 5 remarkable children who in turn, we can now say, created 14 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. My notes here say 6 great-grandchildren, but last night, number 7 arrived, little Georgia Denlin from Courtney, D.C. Cumberland, from Cumberland, D.C. arrived in at 10 pounds, 13 and a half ounces.
Ouch.
Yes.
Georgia.
Georgia Island.
Georgia?
And
What happened the year you were married? Many things, okay? Name them. You can? Okay, Lieutenant Governor Prince Edward Island at that time was Lemuel William Crouse. Okay? Premier Prince Edward Island was who? I like math. Cape Breton Island is connected to the mainland of Nova Scotia. was no more. Toronto Dominion Bank merged to form. A riot erupted in Montreal Farm, town of Rockford, Bouchard, being kicked out of the jail police.
Oh,
Right
yeah.
in the air. The Canadian Sports Hall of Fame is created.
Well, that was a big thing. Oh, for sure. Not that I was
In the
born.
Stanley Cup, Detroit beat Montreal 4-3. Figured you would like to hear that.
Anybody can beat Montreal.
Canadian Sports Hall of Fame was established. The average cost of the new house was $10,950. The average yearly wage was $4,130.
Some money.
Cost of a new car was $1,900. And the gas at the time, how much do you think it cost?
Over 20 cents a gallon.
23 cents a gallon. And, Disneyland in California opened that year. Popular singers at the time were Elvis Presley, Bill Haley, and the Comets. Rock Around the Clock, you remember that? Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, and the Blatters.
And we didn't have much. Between the highs and the lows, everything was kept pretty much the same. As a child, we never knew the difference. We were just thankful for everything that we received. On Saturdays, everyone had a job to do. The boys were outside helping Dad with the farm work, while the girls were inside helping Mom cleaning, baking, and household chores. It may take many hands to make a house with 5 kids run smoothly, but we learned that the work came first, and then we could play afterwards. Hard work never hurt anybody, and even if we were the weekly bread maker, right, Kathleen? So shoving things to the limit, Dad decided one trip on their many trips to Halifax that he would drive all the way over and back in one tank of fuel. So Mom said, "Oh, we'll never be able to do that." So anyway, on the way over, they stopped in Truro. They're looking for the John Deere dealership, and apparently that's hard to find, is extra roads and driving. And so they find it and continue on to Halifax. And so on the way home, Mom's every service station, we should stop and fill up. No, we'll be all right. And, well, the boats were running at that time, and they said, well, you look something funny if they have to shove you on the boat or even shove you off. And so anyway, they were able to get on and they're able to get off. And so there was a few stations on the way home, and Mom kept saying, maybe we should stop. You're on the empty mark. And Dad said, no, we'll make it. Well, they made it all the way to Reed's Corner. Just by the service station, he ran out. And then he says, well, we would have made it if I hadn't got detoured there in Truro. So Mom was always an excellent cook and a baker. She would make a meal, as Pat had said, at a little or nothing. And she passed her love of baking, music, and playing cards on to the grandkids. It was always a big challenge to see who was going to skunk them next. Family was always had a priority, and they made sure we grew up with a well-rounded foundation. In the summer, we'd go to Nanny's cottage for a visit with our cousins, or the holidays and celebrations with our aunts and uncles. Once the grandkids came along, emphasis were shifted, and they both made and continue to be a big influence on their lives. Mom and Dad were at most sport and games, music and dance recitals, and many visits to the West. And when they were playing with kids, Mom would make blanket forts for the kids, and Dad made sure the tractor was always ready for the rides up and down the lane. And of course, they loved to read them as well. Mom wrote a poem for Sarah when she was 4 years old about a visitor we had to the house, and Sarah will read that here in a minute. Overall, they taught us to make the best of every situation, and whether things were good or bad, we'd maintain a connection in the family. And we're very thankful for these two people who guided us, supported us, and lead us to make the right choices that turned out into what we are today. Happy anniversary.
By the door, he looked so very small as he ran across the floor. Mommy wasn't happy that he had to come and stay. She wanted Dad to get him out and do it right away. But Daddy made him welcome. He gave him a piece of cheese. He put it on a little stick down by our deep freeze. I don't know why they're fussing. He only came to play. Please, Mommy and Daddy, won't you let him stay?
church, Shirley wasn't feeling well, so he headed out by himself. When he came home, he had 2 black eyes. So Shirley said, "Dave, what happened?" And he said, well, once he got into church, just before the service started, there was a young girl come in and sat in front of him. He hadn't seen her before, didn't know who she was. And when they stood up to sing the first hymn, her dress was caught tightly into the crack of her ass. So Dave, gentleman as he is, leaned over and pulled it out, and she turned around and punched him in the eye. So Shirley said, well, what happened the other eye? Dave said, I thought she wanted it there, so I put it back. And this is a quote I always hear Shirley saying, love is the thing that makes a woman sing while mopping the floor after her husband walked across it with his barn shoes on. And Dave's quote is, a successful marriage requires falling in love many times, but always with the same person. When Shirley was expecting her first child, Dave sat her down and said, Shirley, we live on a farm and we need farm hands, so we need this child to be a boy. So keep thinking boy. Every day think boy. So after Kathy was born, Dave went in to visit Shirley and said, I told you to think boy. And Shirley said, I did. Every day I thought, boy, oh boy, do I want a girl. One of the visits that Shirley and Dave went in to visit Mom and Dad, and Dave and Dad were talking, and Dad said to Dave, and how's married life? They were probably married about 10 years by this time. And Dave says, well, it wouldn't be too bad if I could get Shirley to not be dressing and undressing in the closet. And happy anniversary.
Dave's favorite card players, and she's sorry that she couldn't make it tonight, and she knows Dave will be disappointed. This person likes to get your goat by saying things like, I know where you live and I'll come and get your dog. Or I seen you shaking the mats at the front door the other day. She wishes you and Shirley a happy 60th and many more, and it's signed Stella.
Children and grandchildren, so now everybody knows. And I spent all week counting them up, so many of these and so many of those, so I have it right. But then today we got another great-grandchild, and it just threw the numbers all in. So anyway, 60 years is a long time. Depending on what side you're on when you're looking at it. If you're looking ahead, it's a long time. But when looking back, it goes very fast. Anyway, I tell a lot of people that when you get married, every day is not a honeymoon. And I suppose 2 or 3 times in the run of 60 years, I could have killed them for something. But anyway, he and I really like to live in peace and tranquility, and we didn't fight for too long, and we were over it, and they were few and far between. Anyway, I would like to thank him for the 60 wonderful years that he gave me, and I love him very much, and I hope we have many more. And I also want to thank you for coming and sharing this occasion with us. We really appreciate it. This is family. Yes.
I guess I gotta do it. I was told, and as they said, when I get married, I will do whatever she says. So I have done it for 60 years. Plus, we went together for a couple of years before we married. Many things have changed over these 60 years. I was thinking about this and wondering what to say, and not blow about it or anything like that, but Pat told about our trips. They were fantastic trips. She made our trips, and
The only regret I have about those trips is we didn't start sooner. We're to the point in life now that we're having trouble getting insurance, and we see things and we don't remember them. We enjoy them at the moment, but our memories slip a little bit. But thanks, Pat. Thanks for all our good times. But going back to the start of it, I went to school in Summerside for grade 10 when I was 15. And Shirley and I were in the room for science or biology, whatever it was. And I more likely I noticed her, but I didn't pay much, didn't sink in. But once I get home on the farm and thinking, you know, and of course she come to mind. There was a lot of nice looking girls in Summerside at that time, but this one always seemed to. I was thinking about her. And I was driving by one night, and by the Lord, there she was sitting on the steps. And I didn't win that night. I didn't have the. I went home and thought about it a while, but I went back, and I guess it was a birthday party on or something. But anyway, when I went to the door, she had the coat on, and I could hardly believe she was all ready to come. But anyway, she came, and I thought that time when I was driving a little Chev truck with the plywood rack in the back with the two hearts cut on, but that wasn't right because I had the car and Mom and Dad were going away, and he said, yeah, you can have the car because we're going away for a few days. So I got home, I don't know whether it was 5 or 5:30 or something like that, but Dad got up to check the oil or the water and turn radiator cap off and burned his hand. So I too many hours at that time. But she stood by me for all these years. I made a few bad decisions and things haven't turned out the way they would, but there's it didn't make any difference what I did. She was there for me, except one time. I came home and told her that they asked me if I run for MLA, and I said yes. I thought I would, so I said, Cheryl, I'm going to let my name stand for nomination. And she said, you're not going to have me giving you any hands. You'll do it on your own. I don't agree with it. And I changed my mind. I didn't go. Many times, things that I thought I should do or go a certain way, we talk it over, and she said no. And whenever Cheryl said no, she thought it over, and that was the way to go. It took maybe a year or two or more than that to see her wisdom in the decisions she made, but they were always the right ones. And we've had success. We've had 5 lovely kids, all turned out beautifully, and they're proud. But I just say one thing: if I had known the fun that I'm having with my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, I wouldn't have bothered with the kids at all. I would have started right off with the grandchildren. But people in our district must have thought I was crazy. Because as Pat said, when she came and when Kathy came, we'd drive up and down the lane with John Deere tractor, and the little ones, they'd be this high to shoulder height, and they all had to have their turn driving, so we'd go up and back. Sunday afternoons, you'd see the tractor going up and down. But that was part of life. One thing I remember about life, and it really doesn't affect this, is Kim. And Tim and I used to go up and down the hall, me the horse, and him in the back with the hat on, and going and cutting wind and having a great time. I think actually that's what happened to my knee. I made too many trips up and down the hall. But in life, there is many decisions. A lot of them are hard decisions, but if you got faith with you and believe that there's something bigger looking after you, things will work out right. It takes a time. It doesn't always happen that day. It might take a week, it might take a year, but things will work out right for you. You just got to believe and stay your course. We hear many stories about our life, our hockey, and our ball, but when we started out for 9 kids. We were going to have a ball team, but things just didn't work out. We only got 5. But they doubled up, so we were all right. I think if her health hadn't have failed on us, we might have hit the 10 kids, but you know what it was. We made quite a few trips to Halifax one winter. It must be 44, 45 years ago now, to the dialysis machine, and it didn't look good. But here we are today, I suppose 40-some years later, and we're still going. So something was looking after us and keeping us on the right and narrow. The other night when we were down in Granville, somebody told, I don't know who it would be, but would said that we're going to, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary, so they get up and thank us for being there, celebrating with them. But it just shows the friends and the friendships that we've made by our card playing and being out around.
I took still off your hands that night.
That is something different, Barry. I never did housework until I retired. I worked outside, and we had an agreement between us. I would do the outside work, she'd do the inside work. But since I'm retired now, we help. So I was in there one day for dinner, and she said, Dave, she said, would you shake that mat? So I grabbed the mat and opened the front door and walked out and shook the mat. Want the cards that night? Oh, Dave, I see you're out shaking the mat. So, living on the main road, you got to watch it. There's always somebody looking out for you. Without any more foolishness, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming. You made our life, you made it easy for us, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
So we now are going to have cake cutting, but while I'll go get our server, and she's going to bring in plates, and she'll get some coffee and cups going for us. So if you'd like to take a washroom break or anything, we'll have like 5 or 6 minutes. We'll get the cake ready, and then we'll be back for cake cutting pictures. Just a sec, I have to make sure I take.
Oh yeah, because it'll, what a nice idea.
I'll jump out of the way. Let's cross our fingers that they work. Please work. They may not work.
It takes a while. Takes a while, Pat, yeah. Stay with it.
I'm staying.
Get down lower. There you go.
Oh, just a second. Go, please go.
A little lower below it. Get the heat of the flame in it.
I know, it's not going. I'm jumping back. Take pictures.